If you're like me and grew up in the 2000s, you probably woke up one day, got on the internet, and suddenly started hearing all of these familiar words being used in unfamiliar ways. This semi-new language, classified by many as Zoomer, Gen Z, or brain rot slang, is full of tons of nonsensical new lingo. Skibbity, Riz, Ohio, etc. Stuff I'd never heard until my younger siblings started ironically throwing it around, much to my confusion. However, like I said, if you're like me and was raised in the 2000s, familiar with 80s and 90s slang,
get a good one.
Eat my shorts.
Eat my shorts. Okay, let's see. Hey, wait a minute, you little...
and more than familiar with black and urban jargon.
Do the chivalry, John.
Man, come on, you know I'm trying to concentrate.
Do the chivalry, John, man.
Then you heard a lot of these words before, most likely, but have no clue why so many people are using the words differently.
Hey man, you glaze and chill.
Well, this channel being a 2000s hole where I analyze how the old becomes new again and evolves along with the times with a bit of cultural education mixed in, I thought it would be fitting to talk about how this new Gen Z language actually isn't Gen Z at all. The words aren't new. What's new is the way that the internet accelerated how slang spreads, mutates, and eventually loses its roots. As I mentioned, there's a lot of new young slang that originates from internet circles, particularly black and queer communities, and a significant portion of it actually is original lingo, like Riz, which comes from recent years and was popularized by streamers and content creators like Casanat.
Who's got no Riz now?
Which is simply a shortening of charisma, charisma, Riz.
It's Leviosa.
But tons of words have preset meanings in cultural circles that have gained significantly stupider, and that's my old man opinion there, quote unquote upgrades that have led to a lot of us making the Walter White, Jesse, what are you talking about meme into reality. So forgive me while I both go on a rant and give a history lesson on a few old new slang words. So back in the day, Unc was what you called that older dude who wasn't your dad but earned your respect. This term goes back to the 90s barbershops, and most of the times, Unc was the old guy cutting your hair while dropping random moments of wisdom at the same time as fixing your hairline. Now, Unc has become a somewhat derogatory title to refer to someone who's lost touch, is trying to blend in with the crowd but is awkward about it, or is trying to act way older than they are. So like the "how are you doing fellow kids" meme.
How do you do, fellow kids?
What?
This comes from the online world where words are given new meanings for a split second and millions of eyes catch that split second use and spread it that way.
The idea of reaching Unc status has become a hard-hitting realization for many on the internet, and this label has become a meme indicative of the feelings regarding reaching old age.
We once again managed to take an African-American English word and give it a completely new definition. I'm talking, of course, about the word unk, which at this point is being used online as a funny honorific synonym of bro. In linguistics, we call this process semantic broadening. The definition of unk has now broadened to include people of pretty much all ages and races.
So imagine someone making a quick joke saying, "Unc fell off." If you've never heard "unk," you believe the word to mean something derogatory, right? That's the trend a lot of this new vernacular comes from. Anyways, let's get to another word. Goated comes from another late 90s slang term, goat.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
This is one of those super popular terms that's researched heavily in sports and hip hop circles and translates to the greatest of all time. It comes from, or at least was super popularized, I'm actually not sure on this one, by rapper LL Cool J's album GOAT. Goated is simply an adjective version of that. There are tons of other examples like slaps, meaning something is really good, coming from early 2000s Bay Area hip hop, drip, referring to good style,
Like Lil Kiki and DJ Screw's 1996 cut Pimp the Pen.
bet, coming from late 90s and early 2000s black slang meaning okay or say less, bussin' meaning something tastes good, which comes from black southern 90s slang, and based, not being a slick way to compliment racism, misogyny, trans, or homophobia, but a term for confidence, coined by black rapper Lil B the Bass God in the 2000s. And before someone cries woke or talks about how black people are always talking about how their stuff is taken, it's not even just black vernacular that's become the victim of this new repurposing and lumping together with Gen Z. For example, sus doesn't actually come from the video game Among Us, but it's actually law enforcement slang, as in a culprit looking suspicious. You hear kids 24/7 now calling stuff mid.
Skyline chili! Mid!
Honestly, this is one of the best returning slang words to me. It's clean, simple, and doesn't sound too try-hard. Anyway, I'm gonna stop being a critic right there. The word is basically short for middling, which means mediocre, and the word was mostly used in the 2000s to describe a grade or quality of weed. And that's not even mentioning weeaboo and K-pop language repurposing actual Japanese and Korean words into new things. Of course, this slang evolution isn't new at all. Slang and language in general have been evolving since the dawn of man. Look at awful and awesome. These words were once synonyms, both meant inspiring awe, but they evolved to become antonyms, similar to how unk has become an antonym to itself in different circles and cases. Awful is still used in the same way. The thing is, as media evolved and spread, language began to spread and evolve even faster. Television, music, and pop culture of the 90s and 2000s being easily accessible began to influence the way that kids and teens talked more than ever before.
Me paying this bill, that's what's the S stand F.
Due to media taking center stage in the world around that era. And hate it or not, but a lot of the words that started becoming popular slang in this era came from trendsetters in black, queer, and hip-hop circles. I separate hip-hop from black because we had some pretty goated white influencers here too. Paul Wall and Eminem were cooking in the 2000s, do not try to even lie. But even back then, new generations were taking and repackaging old slang as if it were new. And we had our share of corny slang words too.
Jabroni.
Keep using this word jabroni, and it's awesome.
Here's where a new element comes in though. The new digital age basically blurred slang lines due to everyone being exposed to everything. We're in the first era where culture spreads faster than context, and context is everything. Some people have never heard these words at all, who are throwing them around like they came out of the womb saying them, but are using them completely wrong.
It's leave, you idiot. Make like a tree and leave. You sound like a damn fool when you say it wrong. All right then.
Why do you think some white parents have a totally different reaction to slang term than parents of color? When I dated a white girl, I saw that reaction in person, and it was one of complete confusion and low-key disgust. Kind of like the reaction I have when I see people try to educate people on these terms, but are defining them completely wrong.
But I had to absorb the drip so I wouldn't get aired by your generation. Every time you drop a yacht or it's giving.
Like in the video that inspired me to make this one.
More memes today finna hit as the textbook vocab of tomorrow. Bet.
To my nerds out there, have you ever seen someone online try to educate someone on a book you like, but you can tell all they did was read a Wikipedia article? Okay, that's how I felt there, and I've been through the whole nerd thing too because Marvel being popular, it drives me crazy with the education that people try to give on that. Anyways, Twitter, or X if you call it that now, TikTok, memes, and all of that helps spread culture, which isn't a problem to me. I believe that when respectful, sharing culture is beautiful. I visit Japan and enjoy their culture that isn't even mine once a year, and it's a wonderful thing. I do the same thing every month with trips to H Mart and arcades. But the issue is when origins get lost and sometimes even replaced. That's the case with a lot of slang that we spoke about earlier. This is such a hot topic now because this is the first generation where these cultural touchstones aren't locked by a region or group. It's all simply algorithmic, and any old internet tourist can see it and take it for their own.
Bet.
Things move so fast online that many have cultural amnesia, forgetting where things came from. This lack of historical context leads to the erasure of originators, which isn't just a problem with cultures but content in general. It's like if anime blew up, something that's a huge pillar in Japan's economy, but wasn't attributed to them, because everyone else started making it, blurring the lines of the original and ultimately hurting Japan's new cultural identity, because trust, they don't want the old one. And this isn't about gatekeeping, even if some of y'all need to be gatekept from time to time. Like I said, I love sharing culture when respectful. I like introducing non-black friends to new foods and experiences, and I like experiencing others' foods and experiences every day.
I love Hong Kong.
You get a massage from Chinese girl before?
No, but I heard it was the bomb.
But I also think the beauty in it all comes from giving credit when credit is due in a way that highlights the good. Not like you see in K-pop, where we see appropriation go from standard inspiration to straight up racism. That junk's weird, especially when they pretend the originator doesn't exist. Understanding this shows how deeply connected everyone is to our past and past cultures, even when we think we're being new, and that's an awesome thing. Slang is historical, social, and constantly evolving, but it isn't created in a vacuum. So no, Gen Z or Gen Alpha, whoever you think, didn't invent most of your new favorite slang. They inherited it and repackaged it, and that's okay, but it's important to not forget where it came from. Thanks for tuning in to another video, everyone. This one is a bit different from usual, but I hope I kept my usual style and themes while diving into another sneaky history and culture lesson as always. I got a fun 1K sub celebration video coming soon that I can't wait to release, so if you enjoy it, comment, like, subscribe, and thanks so much once again.